So we'll just have natural light. No, it's still doing. Okay. Okay. Today, I want to talk about spiritual possession. And it's not one of those things that everybody readily accepts. But I just want to say, hold on. First, let me start off with that same prayer. I protect my sacred energy, my sacred and divine energy, and the sacred and divine energy of my family, friends, and loved ones who are open to receiving this message. Okay, spiritual possession. It's not one of those things that are readily accepted and readily talked about, even though there are many documents, including the Bible, that speaks on some form of spiritual possession. And just because something doesn't exist in your personal reality, and I do emphasize your personal reality, does not mean that it does not exist, period. And like I said before, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. If you're unaware of the tools of the deceiver, then you've given yourself a disadvantage by not being aware of the tools of the deceiver. Okay. I guess the first thing I want to say is that it's not maybe it's not as bad. I'll use that word. Maybe it's not as bad as people think it is when you first hear it. Because we watch a lot of movies. We watch The Exorcist. We watch Carrie. We watch a lot of scary and dark horror movies. And the reality is that true spiritual possession comes without your knowledge. I won't say without your consent, because in some way, shape, or form you are consenting to the possession, but it comes without maybe your conscious knowledge. And I'll explain a little bit. Okay, like I said, I like to talk about the spectrum. So let's say this is a human being and they're at 100%. This is their 100% meter. Whatever part of your life that you've sheltered yourself from, that you're just not dealing with, that you're in denial about, it could be, on this scale, it could be something this small, or it could be, in certain cases, some people are just really, really in denial about facts and life and situations and have completely checked out. But that's not the case for most people. Most people haven't completely checked out. Maybe they're only 15, 20, 30, 35, 40%, checked out. So that's the percent at which your spiritual possession can occur. So there are levels to everything. Every person that has a spiritual possession is not going to be like the girl on The Exorcist or like Emily Rose, where they're all out, have a full-fledged demon like controlling their every move, their every thought. Okay? So like I said, it's that percentage of your life that you're unprepared to deal with, that you're unprepared to accept, and that you're blocking out. Do you know what I'm saying? You are blocking it out. either consciously or unconsciously. And that entity has control over that part of your life because you're choosing, you're consenting not to have control over that portion of your life. Okay? Let's see. So again, it's not as scary as some people may originally think, and it's not to the full-fledged 100%. There are people who are, like people that are really, really sick physically, that are really children are susceptible. If they don't have the proper guidance, and are very, very elderly, if they don't have, they haven't lived I'll just use the word good life, you know what I mean? And if they went through their whole life, or even if you finish it off like bitter, and you see them. Okay. And again, my intentions are to educate. I'm not trying to talk about anybody. I'm talking about everybody. You know what I'm saying? I include myself in that everybody. But anyway, so I'll talk about myself then. The portion of my life that I was not in control over, I don't know what the percentage was. But that's just the way I try to illustrate it to you verbally. But I don't know what portion of my life that was, what percentage. But it was about my sexual abuse as a child. It was about being mistreated by people for really no reason. Like, I hadn't done anything personally to these people, yet they still mistreated me. So I just became very isolated. I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters. So I just became very isolated because I get mistreated as a child by adults. Even by adults. Like, not just the children bullies, but also the adults that's supposed to know better. You know what I mean? So that's the portion of my life that I didn't accept, or that I blocked out. And sometimes it's to your benefit to block those things out until you're mature enough to adequately deal with those things. And what I came up with through my journey is that it's not me. It never was me. It's them. So, but oftentimes, because you put it on yourself and you victimize yourself, because that's what the world, that's what society is telling you, is that it must be you because everybody else is, being treated well. Why are they isolating me? It must be something wrong with me. Okay? But again, you block those things out until you have the maturity to properly face them and properly deal with them. Some people never reach that level of maturity. And that's when spiritual possession occurs. So it's something you've had since you were little. Not your fault. I'm not saying there's something wrong with you. I'm not saying you're a devil baby. It doesn't mean anything like that. It's just that portion of your life that you had to block out for your benefit at that time. But then once you've reached maturity and you have the tools, the knowledge, and the wisdom to deal with those things, you are still choosing not to deal with those things. You're still choosing to block those things out. So that's where that comes in. Okay, and they manifest. I'll also talk about the manifestations. They manifest in habits that we just can't control. Like, you just don't know why you do things this way. You just don't know why you can't kick this smoking habit, this drinking habit. Those are the manifestations of spiritual possession. You don't know why you just can't stop lying. And some people just lie for sport about stupid stuff that doesn't even matter. They just wanted to lie. So those are some of the simple manifestations of spiritual possession. It doesn't have to be up in a bed, all that, you know, foaming at the mouth, and it's not that scary. Well, I'll say it like this. The level of scariness depends on your level of possession and your level of denial and acknowledgement. Okay? Is there anything else I want to say about spiritual possession? It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like that autopilot reaction. Like, you have triggers. Everybody has, well, not everybody has triggers. Some people, everybody has had a trigger. I guess I'll say it that way. I freed myself of words and actions and looks and whatever other type of trigger that one can have, any type of sensory trigger that one can have. I freed myself of these type of triggers so that I'm no longer controlled. Certain colors will trigger you. Okay? I freed myself of these triggers so that I have 100% control over my life. That's why I say I walk around in a Zen state all day, ready for whatever. Because I do. I walk around in a Zen state all day, ready for whatever. You can say anything you want to say to me. You can do anything that you think you want to. I will protect myself now. But you can do anything outside of touching me that you think you want to do to me. And your words and your actions will not trigger a response in me. And that's control over 100% of your life. And if you do not have that type of control, if you're easily triggered by certain words, by certain gestures, by certain colors, by certain looks, by whatever your trigger is, then you have a form of spiritual possession, because somebody else is controlling your emotions, basically, and your reactions, basically. And they're triggering a fight or flight response in your body. You might be able to handle yourself and still smile. You know what I'm saying? But your heart is racing. Your adrenaline is pumping. Your adrenal glands are fired up. That's stress. That's death. That's death. And that's letting someone else have control over your life. And that is a form of spiritual possession. It's as simple as that. It's not as scary as the movies. Okay? And my intentions are not to alienate anyone, but most people walk around with some form of spiritual possession. Do I want to say that? Yeah. That was one of the contracts that we entered into. That's one of the agreements that we entered into to, I guess, incarnate upon this earth in human form, because we all are here to learn lessons. And if you're not learning lessons, spiritual lessons, soul lessons, inner beauty lessons, and you become stagnant and complacent, then, I mean, as much as you can, enjoy your life and be happy, but talk to yourself. You know that you're here for a greater purpose. And that manifests in the form of depression, anxiety, OCD. I can keep going. Dementia, maybe one day. Because you know that you're greater than your being. And knowing that you're greater than your being, that's a burden. That's a heavy load, because you're not manifesting your full potential. So you're doing the world and yourself, most importantly yourself, a disservice by not manifesting the full glory of your potential. Okay? So those demons, those entities will feed off of that. They will keep repeating those messages and those triggers to you that keep you in that space. And eventually they try to knock you down even lower because they want more and more and more and more and more control over you. So that maybe when you get elderly, they have full control over you because you've lost your mind now. You're suffering from Alzheimer's. You're suffering from dementia. They got you, you know? And anyway, I hope this message, I think I'll end it there. And maybe I'll do, I don't know what the next topic will be. Maybe I'll do a part 2 about spiritual possession. Hopefully I'll have questions, I hope, because I really do want to talk about it. But I'll end it there for now. And I hope this message is received with the same love that I'm giving it to you with. And again, I protect my sacred and divine energy as well as the sacred and divine energy of my family, friends, and loved ones who are open to receiving this message.